Good morning and welcome to Behind the Screen. I am JM. This is a show where we sit around and we hang out and we talk about games, board games, card games, role playing games, games that are beautiful, games that inspire us. And that's what we're doing today. We're talking about it is the Creator Jam for Savage Worlds, the Fast, Fun, Furious February. And we are going to be designing our third monster of the month. And we've designed the Vespula for a fantasy campaign, which includes drones and a lich like queen and hive mind that can consume magic. And now we also then developed a Mastima, the Nephalimic spirit from the pre-flood age that uses a cult and minions and its own descendants in order to inhabit and control the modern world of necessary evil. And today we're going to be developing a science fiction horror monster based off what the group decided they wanted on last Thursday. So hello to John Doom, who can't hear me and therefore doesn't know that I'm about to give him a Benny. Padre, good to see you. DM James as well. Good to have everyone here. So I was thinking about science fiction monsters, and Molly on the iconic Discord asked what everyone's favorite science fiction author was. Although she did kind of bury the lead by saying, "And why is it Philip K. Dick?" So I mean, I think I'm going to have to point at the fact that Philip K. Dick didn't have a whole lot of horror monsters in it, nor do I want to go Lovecraftian with this. Although I will say I am developing a Clash-based science fiction game with my friend Ben that Strange Owl may be looking at producing here in the near future that does have some Lovecraftian elements to it. Good morning, Tink. I was just talking about your skewing of the poll data on the Discord. So, I guess my question is, when we're starting to build a sci-fi monster, we've got sort of two scales. Do we want to do a scale that is human scale, whether that's the size of a xenomorph or something else, something that would attack people or colonies inside of a ship, or do we want to go something larger and do something that's a horror on the scale of a starship, or maybe a fighter, or somewhere in between? Do we want to stay inside the ship, or do we want to have this horror coming from space? Any thoughts in the chat? All right. Well, Padre says Clash Sci-Fi. I'll take it. The playtests that I've run have been really fun, Padre. I mean, really fun. And hopefully that game comes out sometime next 2026, 2027 is kind of what we're shooting for. All right, so we're going to have something from outer space. So we're going to have this thing be on a vehicle scale. And ooh, so maybe it's not even a whole monster. Maybe it's this monster's extrusion into our dimensional space. Well, celestial body scale. Well, I mean, the question is, how do we stat out celestial body scale? Knights of the Smith dinner table, unless of course we use the superpower companion rules once again, and use this in a necessary evil cosmic crisis sort of event. All right, so we have an extrusion from another dimension. I assume this dimension is incredibly hostile and devastating to our plane of existence. All right, why not, DM James? Let's go celestial body scale. Let's make a sun killer. Something that eats stars. So it extrudes into this space, into our dimension, wraps its tendrils around a star or a planet, maybe a moon. And I think it does this to, it doesn't actually care about the energy as much as it feeds off the terror of dying civilizations. Space whales. All right, well, let's add space whales as a very resilient minion. I've been a fan of space whales ever since Eclipse Phase, where you could download your consciousness into a space whale and go flying through the solar system. Eclipse Phase was such a weird game, but inspired a couple of mechanics in Jackals, so I greatly appreciate that. All right, so we have a Star Eater. What does this thing look like when it extrudes into our dimension? And then let's also think about when it attacks, is the attack imminent, or is it one of these things that sort of builds up? Maybe doomsday cults, maybe there's time for so my question is there time for the PCs to investigate? Is this something that is lured to a planet by some sort of ancient stellar death cult who seeks to tip the laws of thermodynamics even more into entropy? Or is this sort of a incursion threat where, crap, this thing has showed up, send the fleet to deal with it before it eats one of the stars in the Empire? I've not read Creature Tech. I need to check that out. We can call it the Astral Worm. I like the use of Wyrm, W-Y-R-M. Well done. Okay, so we like the idea. John Doom and James having their own conversation. All right, so we have a Star Cult. Star Reaver Cult. And I'm reading through, I'm kind of in the middle of Raymond E. Feist's Rift War series. Now seeing some parallels between the Panthanian Serpent Cult and this Reaver Cult. And so I kind of like the idea of these are not humans. These are aliens who can assume the form of whatever entity inhabits the planet that they're going to. And they slowly prepare it by setting up these beacons, which could either be like completely hard sci-fi beacons or something of a more mystical nature. But I'm also going to pull in some Torg. One of my favorite cosms in Torg is Tharkold. If you did not watch our Tharkold game, I think I disturbed the players without going in, like, I wasn't over the top body horror, but just sort of the desperation and trauma of that cosm really came home when we played through it. So what I like is, so we have shapeshifting aliens, and these beacons that they're going to set up to summon the thing require the torture of a living being. So kind of like the pain engines in Tharkold, these things, these creatures kidnap psionically sensitive members of the species, slap them into this pain engine, which causes them to scream out into the dimensions, giving the astral worm a lure on the planet. Torg does not get enough love, that is for sure. T-Craft. My Torg books are currently lining the top shelf in the boxes. I really hope the new edition of Torg comes out soon. Really, James, we should talk because I ran a lot of Torg Eternity. So, and I wrote several of the, small miniature adventures that they came out with. Yes, true. Deadlands and Fading Suns are in both of those ideas. All right, so these things have to reach a critical mass of pain to summon one of these things. And Tink said maybe the astral worm. Okay, I see the serpent. Is like a serpent-shaped force that stretches on for light years. Maybe it opens up. I think they're looking at doing a sort of update. I could be wrong, but Torg Eternity, man, I played the bejeebus out of that game and ran. And we had the Four Horsemen game, we had the B Team game, we had Year 2. That's what I'm thinking of. Year 2 for Torg Eternity. Year 1 was solid. We had our Istanbul game on the channel. I mean, we've run a lot of Torg on this channel. We had our Christmas games that would include the Gregs, which was just a ton of fun. Huge fan of Torg Eternity. All right, so we have this serpent-like. Maybe that's how it works, Tank. That the portal opens at the edge of a solar system. And it sort of closes off the system. Maybe it somehow destabilizes hyperspace around the area. And as it moves inward, sunward, it just starts feeding off the terror of this planet that realizes something is coming. And when the two snakes reach the star at the center of the system and begin to consume it, then they really feed off the pain and terror and fear of this trapped world. Man, building this is going to be interesting. I will have to really dig into the Sci-Fi Companion for figuring out how to build this thing, because we're going to be building on a massive scale, which I know the Sci-Fi Companion will allow us to do. Whew. James says, played O-Torg from release, loved every bit of it, especially the Living Land adventure written by, Shane Hensley, I will say, so I think I've mentioned this several times on the channel, in my high school gaming club, you either played Rifts or you played Torg. If those two groups did not talk to each other or overlap in any way, shape, or form, and I was definitely a Rifts player in high school and college. So I came to Torg through Ulysses Spiel because I was helping them out doing some Dark Eye stuff. And man, when Torg, all we had that first year at the Ulysses Spiel booth was a bunch of Dark Eye stuff and a cardboard standee of the Gaunt Man. And that standee got far more foot traffic than our Dark Eye product did. The cosmic scale apparitions of millions of ghost tongues. Ooh. Yeah. So they sort of like break off and spin off in this dark, nebulous sort of way, lapping up the fear of those that it will soon feast. Like, I don't think it actually feasts upon the people. I think it eats the star and then maybe cracks open the planet and then retreats back into its own dark dimension. All right, the last thing I think we need to do is come up with a name. I mean, we've got the Astral Worm, we've got the Reaver Cult, the Star Reaver Cult. I think we have our creature to build on Thursday. Now, this is going to be a difficult creature. I've never built a vehicle in Savage Worlds, and I actually only just got the Sci-Fi Companion, so we're going to have to see how this works. But we'll be back on Thursday, and we will be building the astral worm for our game. Padre said OTORG was the second RPG you ever dug into. Was it was D&D the first? I find that most people's first game is strangely. I mean, it's not strangely. It's D&D. Oh wow! All right, so Padre, you and I are among the minorities here. I my first game that I owned was a Palladium fantasy game, and the first game, or Heroes Unlimited, and the very first game that I played was GURPS Third Edition. So I mean, I didn't play D&D until I'd been gaming for 5 or 6 years. I here it went GURPS, Heroes Unlimited, Rifts. Then I got involved with a group in high school, and we played. The other GM was running Shadowrun and Earth Dawn, and then somebody at my church gave me West End Games D6 Star Wars, which we've talked a lot about on the show. And then it wasn't until somebody also at my church forced us all to play Dragon Raid that I was like, Dungeons and Dragons has to be better than this. And I went out and bought my first D&D books. James started with Redbox D&D, nice, and then OTORG. Man, OTORG is great. I have one of my players in my last Torg game that I ran found a copy of OTORG at Half Price Books and got it for me as a present, which was just awesome. Like reading through OTORG is crazy. But I mean, here's the thing: one of my favorite Cosms is Tharcold, and that did not come out in OTORG originally. That was a later edition. So nice. I have all of the year one stuff for Torg Eternity. It may be worthwhile doing a revisit of Torg Eternity at some point. Zane, we got to finish off our Zane Talks Torg series because he has not reviewed the Gospog from Pan Pacifica. But I will say, Zane loved Torg right up until he played Savage Worlds. And he has not looked back at Torg since then. He has become a Savage Worldsophile and is strictly focused in on that game. Yeah, the fact that he advanced Tharcold, if I remember correctly, didn't Tharcold hit on the West Coast like a year or two after the initial day one invasion in OTORG? I mean, I love all of the Cosms in LA and then Berlin. Yeah, I'm really excited for year two. Can't wait to see it. So that'll bring us to the end of the show today. I'll be back on Thursday when we're going to try and design this monster. If you like what we do, consider joining our Patreon over at patreon.com/iconicproduction or becoming a member on YouTube to get access to cool things, mostly the Discord where you get to hear us all chat and talk about. And one of our players is currently running a Dragonbane play-by-post. So that's it for today. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay gaming. I'm Jay. This has been Behind the Screen, and I will see you all on Thursday. Until then, have a good one.